If I'm not mistaken, you're the kind of person who wants to do the best for your kids. That means that sometimes you have to pay more than just child support to help raise and support your children. I will discuss these extra expenses called Section 7 expenses in this video. Hi, my name is Thomas O'Malley. I'm an experienced family lawyer in Durham region and the GTA. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you've not done so already. Child support is the regular monthly amount of support that you pay for your children when your children live with the other parent most of the time, or you have your children for a good portion of the time, so that you probably then pay a lower amount rather than the full amount of monthly child support. What does child support cover? Child support covers the cost of food, clothing, and a residence for your children. However, there are certain expenses for your children that are not covered by child support. These expenses are called Section 7 or extraordinary expenses, and they include daycare costs or child care fees, college and university expenses, sports activities for your kids, and health costs not covered by your insurance, usually through your employer. As I mentioned, child support does not cover these Section 7 or extraordinary expenses. If you are the parent asking for these extra costs to be covered, you have to show that these expenses are reasonable in the circumstances. How does the family court determine whether these expenses are reasonable? The family court will examine a number of factors to determine whether a particular expense is reasonable in your situation. The court will look at the amount of your income, your spouse's income, and the amount of child support already paid in your case. The court will review how many different sports activities and other extracurricular activities that your children are involved with now. The court will also review the total cost of these other programs and the proposed expenses, and whether these expenses were part of your family's spending pattern before you were separated. For example, if your children do not go to private school before the separation, that might not be a reasonable expense now. Ultimately, the family court judge will decide whether a Section 7 expense is reasonable based on these factors that I have just outlined. The court will, in many cases, find that a certain expense is reasonable and necessary if your child shows a special talent or skill. For example, if your child is a very good hockey player, the court could easily find that the expenses related to hockey camp and out-of-town hockey tournaments are reasonable in these circumstances. Make sure you put a clause in your separation agreement or court settlement that you and your spouse must agree before you incur any costs for these expenses, so that you're not overwhelmed with extra costs. Section 7 expenses are paid on a proportionate to income basis to reflect the difference in the parents' incomes. For example, if one spouse earns $120,000 a year and the other spouse earns $75,000 a year, the higher earning spouse in this example would pay 62.5% of these Section 7 expenses, and the lower earning spouse would pay 37.5% of these expenses. If you have any questions about your separation, divorce, or family law case, and you'd like our help, feel free to contact me on my Facebook Law Office page, that's O'Malley Family Law, or call me at 905-434-8837, and I'll point you in the right direction. Please make sure to share this important information and video with your friends, family members, and co-workers, so that it helps more people avoid serious problems in their separation or divorce before it's too late.